Okay.
Yeah, it says
Says
recording.
recording.
You're good to go.
Cool. Cool. Done. It's up there somewhere. You two can go for it, because then I can just chip in my.
Well, Andy, you wanted to catch up, so what's going on? Tell me what's going on.
No, I think me and your mum were just, you know, we connected last week and we thought, well, I talked about, I think I mentioned the keyword like process, and then she jumped on that idea and says, Rissa's having fun talking about this sort of thing at the moment. And so she thought it might be cool to have a chat about process and sort of where that fits in to, you know, some people or everybody's life.
Nice. What, where is process playing in your life right now?
I think during this whole COVID time, life's changed a lot. And
yeah, absolutely.
So I'm starting to think back to how I find my sort of sense of normality, and then so thinking, okay, the person I am, I need a process to follow to then, I guess, achieve my goals for the day, and yeah, just to, I guess, feel my sort of contentment at the end of the day, potentially. That's what it means to me at the moment anyway.
Yeah, nice. And so do you have process like routine?
Yeah, I guess it can be synonymous.
I love big words.
Yeah, man, I was like, whoa, he's getting right in there with the big words. I'm like super simple.
That's consultant speak. You get trained in those words.
It's a process to be trained in those words. And
love that. I love that.
I'm going to chip in already. I'm going to chip in already with those. I have 3 questions. What is normality? How do you see yourself? And how do processes work for you? Out of your questions.
What is normality?
Yeah.
I guess when I think of normality, again, it's the same as similar to routine. And so it's, I guess, at the start of my week already has some sort of pre-planning about it. Have to get up and go to work. Have to come home, get changed, have to go to football practice. And that's and that all changed very quickly. Sorry.
Sorry, I'm just kind of going off on another tangent on the word routine. So for me, process routine serves you.
Yes. Question 2, what was that one again?
Yeah, that was about normality. Sorry, so how do you see yourself? There was something in the question that made me, so how you see yourself, okay, now I get it. So how does routine and process feed you in seeing how you function in yourself and being, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, it's probably ticking the what have I achieved today box.
Yeah. Yeah. So the sense of achievement.
Right. Yeah.
And humans with a sense of a need of achievement. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's the awareness of the addiction to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of summarizes. You've kind of summarized how the process works for you in the routine. I think the normality is what is normality question is also the trigger that probably wasn't we kind of went into the routine, but the normality thing for me is what is normal. It's a perception of normal, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's own perception.
Yeah. So, you know, for COVID, for me, yes, it cramped my style probably in going out to eat and drink sort of stuff. But reality, probably in my lifestyle, didn't. Whereas an athlete and someone who goes to work every day and has a whole process would have been. So in reflection, what did that give you? What did it serve you with? What did all this give you? Like that whole...
I think it opened up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm trying to understand, okay, now what processes do I need to go and start making the most of all these new opportunities or more time in my day. That's where it's taken me.
Nice. What's like the ultimate long-term kind of goal, result, plan where you're heading?
Oh, I don't think there's a few like milestones in my ultimate goal, like having a family, having a house, but other than that, and I guess like living comfortably, but other than that, it's more about living an extraordinary life, like day to day. I don't have like a 5-year, 10-year and beyond sort of plan.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think what I live by is being able to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and say that I gave my best. That's kind of like my my ethos, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and the rest is like the cream on the cake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's where people get, for me, it's not that you don't have something that you know, a point of interest and desire or whatever, but it's not your focus point. It's that ride through that, to that point.
The journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And staying present to the moment. That's why I'm really interesting with someone like you, with it. It's got sports and work and everything in the way you live, how processes are important for us. I think everything is a process. If we broke it down, everything is a process. You know, like if you broke, even getting out of bed's a process.
Yeah.
You know, making a cup of tea is a process.
Yeah.
They're all processes.
But they're not necessarily cognitive processes you've thought through.
But at some point, you would have had to learn those processes.
Right. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? And then those processes become a subconscious programming and a way of being that we don't even acknowledge.
It's a whole learning process with the unconscious and incompetent until you get to consciously competent. So you go through those stages. There's like and there's a process for you. The 4 learning stages. What you don't know, you don't know. What you know, you don't know. What you know, you know.
I think what I'm getting at is that how tied up we get with a process, that's, you know, attachment to a process, and also to fill a desire or to fill a need instead of doing it for a innate passion of being. And there's two different lines. Yeah, there's 2 different vibrations if we broke it into frequency. So like if someone, correct me, and because you're going to be having your own experience, but for me it's like if someone, an athlete or somebody, goes out and trains in bits and pieces, for me there's an awareness that you do it for a passion and a love, and not get too hooked up on a process of getting somewhere, because that's just that's almost like a sidekick of it. You're going to get somewhere, but if you're doing it from extremes of passion and love, and not in a controlling space of being, and saying that you're going to have trainings and stuff, I get that, but it's where this space comes from. Like you turn up to training and it's not, oh fuck, we've got to do this. There's an innate passion that just kicks because you love being there and doing that. There's 2 different frequencies there.
Yeah, I think to the points you just made, often I know I have this big passion for like my sport and a love for it, but I can still go to training and not necessarily feel that same passion due to, I don't know, some tiredness, or had not the best day at work, or other variables, which then I think, okay, what process can I go through to get myself to the place where I need to be to make the most of this?
Yeah, for me that's simple. Drop the process and be present to the experience in the moment. And at the end of the day, all those things that are collected up through the day, you trying to sort how you can function and shift that. But if you turn up present to this moment and the joy and love of where you are, Do you see where that's gone?
Yeah.
It's not to say it doesn't.
I think for me, it's I need a process to get me present.
Yeah, so it's so easy, you know, again, easy from this seat. I'm not doing it. You know, it's the presence and the breath, you know, and tune up. The appreciation of putting your boots on, the appreciation of being able to be there, the appreciation, you know, every process is appreciation, love, passion, not, and being present in that moment, the sock pulling up, you know, and having the luxury of going out on a beautiful field to play on as you walk out, and appreciating that the lawn, that the grass is cut, or whatever, the simple things brings you right to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you get that gap, it takes wherever your mind's going, and that's process of habit, of control, of where you want to be in controlling your life, really.
No, yeah. Can I maybe add something? Just from listening to a couple of things you've said, Andy, you use the word need heaps. Like, I need to have this, and I need to have that, which is cool. And just from that, there is like an unconscious expectation of self. And so you're taking this, and it's totally unconscious, so you're totally unaware. But when you go to those trainings and things, you believe that you need to be at a certain thing, and there's that whole need thing, or need to be a certain way, to perform a certain way, to get a certain thing or feeling, and that whole achievement stuff. If you look at from a process point of view, if you look at setting some really clear standards, and you can bring mum stuff in, like all of the, like, to be the love, the passion, and that's your standard, is like, go out and love, passions, you know, what, all of those things, and set some really clear standards on who you are in every moment of those experiences. There's less of a need and more of a want, because you want to feel these things. I'd even remove want. Want is a frequency. It's quite a dense frequency. It's what you enjoy. That's, you know, enjoy even better. Yeah. You know, it's you know, that scale, that vibrational scale. I think I've shared with you, Andy, is, you know, it's where. And if we're talking processes, a sense of achievement, that is definitely a ripple effect of a process. Which is a human natural state of form, wanting to perform, and they've adopted. But I think what we've lost is the enjoyment factor through the process. So if you could flip it to joy and, you know, enjoyment instead of a need or a want. A lot of it's controlling the outcome for you. And I think that's just who you, you know, and that can be an environment stimulant of how you've grown up. You know, our families know each other well. There's how we've probably how I talk about how I've controlled the first 3 children, and then Tyler's like a free agent, sort of. You know, there's such a different environment because I was a different person then. The era of bringing up the other 3, which is your sort of era, is definitely a more programmed way of being, and we adopt those formats, you know. And so you've got to look at your environment, your schooling, and all that sort of thing. You've just adopted things to serve your purpose. But the thing is, when you strip the aspects of that away, you start becoming more of Andy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think from a soccer... Oh, is that my headphones? That was really loud. From a soccer perspective, I just had training last night, and me and Mum had literally just talked last week about the difference in coaching. I don't know if you watched that what was the Laura Lang about having fun and bringing passion to the game. And Mum and I talked about the difference in coaching, and when you have a coach that is quite strict and punishment versus probably more like pleasure and fun. And I have a coach at the moment who's a very, very structured and very serious. And I know in myself that I'm just not that type of player. So I tend to go in to trainings I'm just giving 100% on the day, 100% of what I actually have based on everything I've done. This is my 100. And it fluctuates. This week shuttles were really hard for me, whereas last week they weren't. But it doesn't get to me because I know I turned up and I know I'm showing up and I know I'm pushing, giving all that I can on that day. And then I was talking to a young girl afterwards who's had really big expectations. She's a new keeper, like real low on skills, but was like, I don't want to make a mistake on the weekend. And it's our first game. And I was just like, man, I'd take it like a three day of preseason. Like there's 3 games up until where I'm kind of like, right, let's get momentum and let's really have it, raise that bar a little bit for myself. But I always give myself enough time so there's never disappointment. So I can always have that enjoyment factor through the whole lot. No, but I never feel like, I always feel like I've gone in and given 100%. Without that expectation, even on a shit game, I still have I've had fun. I've done all those kind of things. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, out of that, for me, I think the big key, and because we were using the word process, I think for me, process for you is reflecting your own self-judgment and self-reflection. If you broke process down. So you've got to look at how hard you look at yourself and your expectations, is which we've spoken about. But to me, that's the gift process gives you. And when you can start looking at the gifts it's giving you, then it's not so significant to be more detrimental to the outcome. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. I think I would say, like Carissa's last point, I don't struggle. I would say it's not a struggle to like give 100%.
Yeah.
It's the challenge is knowing what your 100% can be, but then any given day your current 100% is not that 100%, and
so there's your self-judgment and expectation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's hard not to have that sort of self-judgment or expectation, because again, and bring it back to joy you feel of being able to make that top 100% versus the frustration that this current 100% is not that joyous place.
Yeah, so you're not engaging in the present. Like at that time you probably are in present, but in reflection there's the judgment. So there's the gift of it is still self-judgment. You haven't moved through self-judgment, so it'll keep playing out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
So what does here, like you say, here and here is your 100% some days. What is here giving you that here is not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably that joy that I just mentioned.
Mm.
Outside it's just the joy.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, joy. It's inside myself. So like, yes, it's nice for people to say, external people to say, you were great today. But the person I am, I think I have a good understanding of how I have played, or how good I can be, or how good I might not have been. So it's that internal
dialogue,
expectation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the main crutch of your whole experience, whether it's process or anything else. And it's not just yours; it's human nature, our self-expectation, our self-judgment, our self-awareness, and how we look at things and what we. It's about turning out and, like Carissa said, doing what you do and doing well, no matter how it plays, and enjoying it from that playground that's presented in that moment.
Yeah. So where I'm at, I was like, all right, what processes can I turn to get me to that top 100%?
But you're already there. Seeing yourself not there makes it not there. Do you know what I'm saying? The difference now.
Do you coach?
No, I don't coach.
Have you coached or done anything with coaching? No. If you were to coach and you had a young child, even one of your own, and they were telling you this story about them, what advice would you give them?
Gosh, that's hard.
The talk to the inner child.
Like, I came to you as your child and was like, Dad, I'm going out and I know I can be here, but I'm landing here and it annoys me and I'm frustrated and I'm angry at myself because I know I can be better. What do I do about it? And you're like, son.
Son, I'll get back to you after a chat with Ellie.
You know it. Yeah, I'll let you answer. Have you got an answer?
I don't think I have an answer.
No,
It
and
doesn't
I
have
think
to be
that's
a right or
because,
wrong answer. It just is.
yeah, but I
Play
also
with
think
the
it's
idea.
I also think it's because you haven't found it within yourself.
That's what I was about to say, Ellie, yeah.
Yeah, which is a great, I think is a great trigger dialogue, and maybe coaching is something added to your very busy lifestyle. Would give you that growth, but I think that growth can also come within you, within realizing this journey and stuff. There are some good, there are some good things to listen to and people to listen to that are coaching slightly different. And I come across one last week, and their punishment was dancing. But I was on that talking performance thing, I think, and she was a coach, and no, singing, I think. So if you were late to training, it wasn't, everyone had to do, back in the day, everyone had to do like laps because someone was late, or if there was a punishment sort of thing. And like in Murray's day, there's a guy that had alkathene, so the extremes. But this lady made them sing. And she's been quite successful in her coaching career. So again, singing can be, for me, would be quite humiliating because I haven't got a singing voice, but I'll do it. So it's kind of, yeah, I know. I think you're a person that's very harsh critic on themselves, and even limitations. Like if I recall a few of our chats through the years. One that really sticks out, and I don't know if you ever remember, but you were over in, you were playing in the under 20 something overseas for New Zealand at the time, and I messaged you on Messenger or something, and I remember it so clearly because I know exactly where in New Zealand I was. I was at the Stratford basketball tournament. I didn't go and watch my husband play because I wanted to watch Andy play soccer on TV. And so the message I had for you that night was, how many goals are you going to score? And we'd done this when you were younger, but I did this at this particular moment. And you said, one would be good. And I went, why limit yourself? And so I watched your game, and yes, you got that goal. You got that goal, yet you missed another goal by a fraction. And then I saw the frustration, and then I watched your body language and who you were at that particular time, and I could understand why you got no more goals. I totally, just reading who you were and where you were playing from. And it's a really interesting place, because I said to you once, it's even getting on the same level as walking out there and going, loving the referees as loving who as a player. Do you know what I mean? You're going to have that much respect that you love the ground as much as you love the referees as much as you. Just that whole total appreciation for the experience itself. Yet, as what I've grown and understood from having Braden play soccer, and I asked him this question: is what's the sort of respect for the referees? Because referees get hammered, like.
Like in no other sport, yeah.
I don't know. I got it in basketball, but dude, it comes down to obviously reflection of what I would have been learning about myself to go down that track. But the thing for soccer was there wasn't respect. Do you know what I mean? And that I saw as like when something went wrong on the field, it was turn around and blame somebody. And referees got it more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, a referee can be, like I used to say to somebody, like if my refereeing's shit, as long as it's consistent shit, it doesn't matter. because everyone's getting the same treatment. And that's all you ask for, isn't it? But anyway, but that's one of my big moments of limitation for you, is like in how you see is opening yourself up to having more success and not seeing it a certain way, or yeah. That's just one of my little moments.
How do you define joy, Andy?
That's another tough one. It's what I said earlier. It's looking at yourself at the end of the day and being happy with who you are.
Can I just, with awareness, go looking at yourself at the end of the day, instead of looking at yourself at the end of the day, just being present in the moment? Then you'd never have to recollect at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So what feeling?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right. I'm just exploring joy.
Yeah.
In many ways of like, what is, obviously looking at yourself and what kind of feelings are you getting from that? When you think joy, what feelings does it bring? I know it brings joy.
Go to a memory that's the most ultimate joyful experience.
Yes, that's probably good too.
I'll go to a football memory. It's probably scoring a goal in a World Cup. And that's like, no matter what you do in life, no one can sort of take that away from you.
So it's an attachment to the experience. Oh, now we're good.
But on that, so that World Cup and that goal, can you like talk through the feelings and the emotion and everything in that moment? Because if you can kind of capture what that feels like and is for you.
Yeah, it's probably like something you can tangibly hold on to, that you know you've worked for I don't know, your entire life, and you have this tangible moment that that helps you justify everything you've done and everything you're still going to do, right?
Yeah.
Because that's your nirvana, and you know how good it was, so shoot for that every time you sort of go out and sort of, I guess, play the game. But there's always if you don't sort of have that, I guess, well, if you don't play as well as you know you can, then yeah, there's always a sense of frustration, potentially. Yeah.
Heaps in that.
Well, you hold yourself to a standard, and if you don't get there, it can be frustrating. And so where I'm turning to is, look, it's not something I struggle with, but it just
You're curious.
Conversation where, I'm curious to explore.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to explore what sort of processes I can bring in that can, I guess, help me get there again.
I'm laughing. I'm like, drop the fucking processes, dude. Like, fuck, get rid of process. Because you're missing the moments. You're missing every single moment because you've got a process to get to there. I'm not denying that you're going to be hooked on process, because I think life is process in a way, if you want to break it down and give it a story. I want to go back to the words, because, work at something, work hard to get to something. That's that whole ethic of that you've got to work hard to get that money. You've got to work hard to succeed. As much as I think working hard when you're passionate is an innate natural state, I don't think you have to work hard. I think it's a passion to do something you love, switching the frequencies, switching the result, because it's the same as I was brought up like working hard, and then I spent $10 and won a $500,000 house. That's not working hard. Do you know what I mean? But in saying that, people work hard to get a house. So we still have a house. That's what I'm saying. You've got to be the density of what you want to process through. I'm not. Please don't get me wrong, because I think when you're passionate and you're loving, people just innately, like, we'd hire Dad would hire a basketball hall, and we'd hire it for an hour, and we'd run for 2 hours, and we would be going from the time we walked in, and we didn't stop. And it wasn't. People would look at that as like it's a real hard training, and there hardly water stops back in those days. But it wasn't, no one thought of it like that. It was just people that were passionate about the game, turning up for an hour's training and running the whole 2 hours because you had the key to the hall. Do you know what I mean? So you made the most, but it was an innate, natural passion instead of the work hard ethic. And I think there's 2 different frequencies again, and if you can switch those, you switch your results. Justify is an interesting thing. So my thing to you is, you have such an and an awareness, you have an attachment to the experience, and it justifies, and that comes along with your high expectations. They'll all be things to look at in an awareness factor, which I think is a big, huge thing in humanity at the moment, is their attachment to something. And I think that's what COVID also brought, is it cut a lot of that, and then everyone had to deal with, it's not the addiction, it is kind of an addiction and attachment to the life experience. Life has to have a meaning. Life has to have a sense of purpose, does it? Or is it here to be just experienced for what it is? You know, they're good questions to kind of get curious about. And then it makes you more present of just turning up to the moment. You're still going to be on time. I mean, that's an innate way that you play, and that's how you like to be treated, and that's how you like, that's just who you are. It doesn't stop you playing away. It's just having a different mentality or understanding of the way. Because as soon as you open up the doorways to playing with a passion instead of an expectation, the frequencies are so different, the results become so different, you score more goals.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with
I think if you are looking like a little bit of a process stuff, it's stripping back and going like, who am I? Who is Andy? And knowing who that is, the identity of like, I'm Andy, and without all of the soccer stuff, because right now it sounds like, from what you're saying, that your identity is quite wrapped up in what you do, so the external stimulant.
I kind of,
however,
can I just butt in?
Yeah.
I kind of think it's where you're going in identity is, it's not just because it's also in work. Because I kind of I just want to come back to when I met Andy in Melbourne. I saw a guy that was definitely in sport, but also work focused.
Yeah. So it's wrapped up in all those roles.
Yeah. So who is he away from that? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it's out of the relationship, it's out of all of, like, everything. If it was just you on an island, who is that person? And then you apply all of who that person is into everything you do, you will find a routine that works for Andy and a process that works for you, versus a process that works to fit in with the role of what you're doing. You need a process for Andy. And to do that, you have to identify what it is for you. Like, for example, for me, obviously I'm passionate. I love laughter, and everything's got to be simple, easy, and fun. And if it's not, I find ways to make it that way, because that's who I am. And I bring that in everything, with Willow and my parenting and my relationship and my job. And I do it uniquely different, because Brayden said something to me and it really kind of sat with me. I'll have to send that to you, because I have to think about what he said, and I really can't think of it. But like, it's all about being uniquely you in everything you do, because no one else can do what you do. But you need to know what you do and how you do it well. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah. I think for me it was like, I'm watching, and going back to that Laura Langley interview, and when the guy said, you know, does netball define you? You know, and I think that's a big thing I've said to everybody, is that who are you away from everything? Get to know that person, because that's the one you live with 24/7. And that's the one that turns up and puts the soccer boots on. That's the one that turns up and puts the suit on. That's the husband that walks through the door. And if you don't have to play it different in every role, then everything's sweet. It's all, it's just, it's smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm. I think too, when you do that, you know, when you say like, oh, sometimes I'm tired and sometimes like that, you would have a process or a thing that you would do that would, you know, like when I'm tired, I just say I'm out, you know, like I've got no spoons left, Mike, sort out Willow, I go lay down for a bit. So you always have things in play that then give you the best of you. So there is none of that excuses to why I am where I'm at.
It's also acknowledging I'm tired. Yes, I am tired, and that's okay.
And that too.
Be okay with being tired. Are you okay with being tired?
If you recognise it to yourself, you can go the other way and limit yourself, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's the story you tell yourself.
Is unashamedly a word?
Unashamedly.
Unashamedly.
It's your word today. Go for it. Go for it.
I think that's the word that Braden used. Be unashamedly you.
Yeah, which is the vulnerable.
Unapologetically.
Yeah, that's the word.
Thank you. That's probably the better word and probably the one that he used.
He knows with the uneducated lot. That's okay. We make our words up.
Yeah, I make my words up all the time. It's great. It gives curiosity. But yeah, unapologetically you is what the advice he gave me one day, which I was like, man, that's such a cool, like, you're right. Like, I just need to be who I am.
Yeah. I don't think I have a problem with being unapologetically me.
Good word.
No,
I like the unapologetically me. That's also, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I saw that, Andy, when you were young, like, dude. I think I learned so much. Now I look back and watching you through the game and knowing you slightly personally through Braden. One of my highlights when I talk to people and refer to as one of the games I watched you play, I think that was Napier City Rovers. And I wasn't actually watching it. Well, I probably went to watch you, not Braden. There we go. Braden just slums his
Don't show Braden this.
No. I mean, he's taught me so much as well. I'm not denying that. But I watched. So you know how you all sit in the little, that thing, yeah. And the whole team sitting in the end. Here's Andy Bevin sitting outside by himself. That moment, I knew there was something special and different, because you weren't all about fitting in. You were about being Andy. I watched Braden, and I was more sure about him probably fitting into a certain style and way, and if he was told not to shoot, he wouldn't shoot, or, those sort of things. Andy Bevin wasn't that person. If you're looking at two different dynamics, and what gave it to me was the day I saw you sitting separate to everybody.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem being different if that's.
I don't think it's different.
The process I need to go through to be myself.
Yeah. I just think you may have accomplished that at a younger age than what a lot of others would have.
I get you.
I think it's yeah, and I could have looked at it as this young fucking little upstarted, God, he's an arrogant little shit, or you know what? God, who does he think he is? Like, dude, you could have pushed my butt, and you probably did actually, and it was till I got to know you and actually, and then I was going, dude, this guy's, yeah. I wish I was. When I was a kid, I was probably more influenced about fitting in than being me. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you break processes? You don't have them. That's my answer. But then in a world that's full of processes, you know how I think. It's very much, if you're present in the moment to what arrives, you can be given so much more than you can ever expect or dream. You know, and I think that takes away the, you know, those things we're talking about, that high expectations. And in those moments, those precious moments, so, you know, like the goal scoring, and that was the game I'm sure I messaged you about. I could see so many moments that you were totally not aware of. And that's the critique. But the reality is that's your joy. You know, so I'm going, and all you wanted to do was score a goal. That's what you told me. So that, you know, that's that kind of the reality is. But I think it's the precious moments of the ground that you were, the people you're around, those whole experiences fulfilled, and they're the whole things, not just the goal. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I know a highlight for you guys would be like even getting married. You know, that's an amazing experience, an amazing emotion in a different field. And how can you have that consistently? That's the cream of the cake.
Mm-hmm.
They're the extra bits. The goals are the extra bits that come along organically when you're present to every single moment and appreciating every single moment. Where you've got an innate build of high expectations and stuff, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's just a way of life, and that's what you've chosen. You can fine tune them and get okay with them. That's what I think. It's becoming more at peace with a way that you choose to live, than in which will bring probably more results, and just not in scoring goals. I mean, in the whole field, you know, and that's the big thing for me, is it's not just one field, as you know, it's in, like Carissa said, in every area. You want to be that in every area, so you can walk out of here and somebody, you know, that next coffee with somebody is that moment. That's that joy. You're not missing
and
that.
trying to find joy in all those moments, and joy in every moment, and it might look differently in every moment, but being able to like spot that joy. So when at the end of the night, if you choose to be the person that reflects and looks and thinks about their day, you're like, man, there was so much joy there. That probably didn't give me enough joy, but overall, that is an epic day, you know? And I get all that.
And joy is just a perspective. You know, it's only, you know, it can only be joy because we've chosen to be joy and we've experienced joy, so therefore joy is. So failure is the same. If, you know, failure is only failure because we see it as failure. It's never failure. It's only our perception that it's failure. You know, everything leads us to this point. So it can't be failure because we're here. But in a perspective of how we're going to judge it. And I think it's just, it's lightening the load and taking the critic to be a bit more, and I know you're not as harsh as what you've ever been or whatever, you're just now curious about, okay, this is, how can I shift this, or what's really going on, and you're looking more deeper inside than just the game or just the work or just the marriage, you know. It's sort of, and that's what we're kind of getting back to. Is that a process? If you make it one. You know, I think I wrote once, the process only exists because we believe we need a process or something, isn't it? Or something, Carissa, years ages ago. It's so nothing. I like processes. Yeah, so, and that's it. If you thrive off processes, then play processes. Doesn't matter.
Processes give me the ability, or allow me to not have to think about those things, because I know that they're taken care of, which allows me to be more present in every moment. That's what processes do for me. Well, that's my belief. And
you know where I'm going, because you can see me. I'm sitting there, yeah. I'm just there now. I'm just there now. I just, like, you know, I'm.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm like 52, and I've got, my husband's out at work, and I can go in for a coffee after this, and you know, life's. But Braden, I know. Braden said to me, you know, you know, one day you created, well, mum, no, not so much in that, but just in the environment. I've got nice food, I've got nice wineries, I've got everything's, but is that not for me, it's almost like that innate reflection of who I am, what I enjoy is now all around me, you know? And I see it, so I would, you know, the coffee, that we go down and get a coffee from the lady and have a conversation, that could be my moment of joy, but on the ride down there's even joyful. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's as soon as you hop in the car, it's just not making points. And it's just being present, and it turns up all the time in everything, not just on a soccer field, not just at a wedding, not just at work when you've sealed a deal. They're in every single moment. And yeah, and I think, and people don't realize when they, and especially you know this, Andy, that especially when you start knocking away at those things and start fine-tuning them, the game gets so much easier. And, you know, you read it miles before it arrives. You're in the right place at the right time. You know, those things that reflect out on the soccer field and your results are all reflection of how you spend every moment. And so you know, if you're collecting up into the day, looking back and look, do it because that's what you enjoy. I think sometimes that can also counteract that you're looking for those points to tick that box when the box is already ticked by you just being here. You know, yeah, that's as simple as I can get it.
It'd be nice to come to that. That space.
I can tell you're already there, but you think it's a process to get there. So therefore, it is. Yeah, and that's the funniest thing. We're all already there, but we think we're not. So therefore, it is. When do you start? When do you start playing?
Hopefully next week.
Oh, nice.
Who are you playing for?
I'm playing in Welly, so Team Wellington, and in the winter Miramar.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys haven't been training much?
No, I mean, I took a break. I usually take a break at this time anyway.
Yeah.
But our break was brought forward due to COVID, so
yeah, perfect.
Sort of, I'm just having a conversation with myself. Am I gonna get straight back into it? And then when I do, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I've turned to the conversation around process and
yeah.
How do I incorporate it back? And what does that look like? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get that. And for me, it also is that in the moment, you know, and when you're present, it happens naturally and easily. And because, you know, you have a functional way of being to get back to that point of where you want to be or is already here, but, you know, that process, that's an innate way of your being. So I find it's like I've got some videos to do and I haven't done it. And they're due, but you know they're going to get done. And in that moment, it's like I'll be videoing, like I'll be on a walk and I'll have to video something, and it'll be just in that moment it'll happen. But that's for me a whole different. I've created a process that I don't need a process in that way. Do you know what I mean? So it's still a process.
Yeah.
It's just a perspective of the way we want to share it. My thing is do what works for you and what brings you joy. What's your feedback, Riss, overall?
Overall, it's a bit of a process, isn't it? I think just tying it all into who you are as a person and looking at more than just one area. Probably taking all aspects, and there's a lot. Like I know I work with my clients, we look at 8 different aspects of life, taking into consideration all of them, and then kind of looking at where they fit on a scale. Like, it's a process and a half. You know, like, because I found, even I did a bloody thing on with regional council, and they put the 8 areas in, and all of them went 1 to 8, what's most important to them. And number 1 was family, hard across the board. And a lot of people had number 8 as their career. And then they thought about where they spend all of their time. And they went, oh, I spend all my time in my job, but it's the least important thing on my list. So then they were like, when you can visually see it, I know there's something about being able to visually see it, and they can just kind of adjust. But it's just taking into consideration all those things and ensuring that they meet who you are and what you're looking for.
I was going to say they just didn't all hand in their resignations.
And come and have coffee with me. Yeah.
No, but like, jobs are obviously a thing that, you know, provide us money, but it's linking it. If it's something you're not so much, and I always say that's Braden, like, if it's not something you do that you actually want to do long term, but it's fueling a purpose right now, just link it to what it feeds. So the job provides me to live and do and eat and have a roof, you know, like all those simplicity things, and it's knowing that you have that and that's what gave it to you.
Yeah, gives you special moments with your family, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And most people in those kind of jobs, like the council and things, that's what it was for. It was going, well, you're going out and working so hard because you want to provide for your family, so ensuring that they're spending that time that they love with their family, and if not, how can they change that to make it, ensure that they're getting that message, and it's that whole intention and action being the same.
Also, though, jobs, people see that jobs are going to serve them money and get them somewhere. And so their forms a process in itself. And I think if that belief's so set in a way, then you're limited in the way finances can come to you. So,
Yeah,
you know, like a lot of this downtime would have been people now thinking, oh shit, I can work from home, I can do this, I can, you know. So now that's actually given them the gift of a way of spending more time with family. Where there's some people that love going to work to get away from family.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, got to do
it. It is the perfect time at the moment to revamp where you're at and where you want to be and how that can work for you.
Yeah, probably have had more thinking time, so.
Yeah. Everybody has.
Oh, shit.
Did you get a few takeaways, Andy?
Yeah, what's your
feedback? No, we've become first-class chefs over this break, so.
Nice.
We're all going to get dinner invites.
I'll put a Michelin
meal
outside my front door.
Yeah. Processes sitting where for you now, Andy? Like, reflectively.
What I'm doing is I'm definitely implementing processes.
Yeah.
But I guess with the rethought objective, like what does it tie to? Like Riss just said, and I need to bring passion in somewhere, because there's something you mentioned a lot, passion. I'm like, I have a lot of passion, and then I'm like, do I have a lot of passion? So
it's reconnecting. It's reconnecting with the passion. You've got it.
It's like, is my passion with the game, or is it with the feeling? Do you know what I mean? Nice. So I've got some thinking to do about that, I think.
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I think.
I'll leave you with a heap of thought, and you'll probably, if you're anything like me, because I love processes, it takes me like 3 hours to unpack things like this and just sit with it and then go, oh, yep.
I'll flick you the video link as soon as and then you can reflect over that and probably listen to yourself and, you know, see yourself from that perspective even. And
you pick up your language heaps in this.
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
But no, good share. I'm glad you were curious. Always. Yeah. Good chat. I will love and leave you guys, and
you can just record now. Thanks.
I can press stop. stuff. Yeah.